and welcome to Tales from the Midpack. I'm your host, Rebecca Hunt. I'll be bringing you stories from everyday runners, experts, and some race recaps. Today we have someone known for their grit and their incredible adventures, Bec Morton. Welcome, Bec.
Thank you. Hello.
Now, the reason I asked you here is because you are incredible with race-specific training and the experiences you put yourself through to be ready for events. But before we get into that, let's help listeners get to know you. So I usually ask everybody, what do you do when you're not running?
Eat. And sleep.
All the burgers?
Yeah, all the burgers, all the cheesecake. And I like naps.
I remember you were out at the Fringe with your true love.
Yeah,
and then Damien was in the background, but it was a cheesecake.
Yeah.
It was a cheesecake.
It was a cheesecake.
And how long have you been running? What got you into it?
I reckon probably since 2012.
Yeah.
And I was rather chubby because I liked the cheesecake, but I didn't used to run.
Yeah.
Which caused some issues. So I just started going to the gym, getting fit.
Yeah.
And then I started doing little runs, and it turned out it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing it ever since.
So what got you into the not so little runs?
It was probably the Jodie Lee Foundation hike, which is 80k over 2 days.
Yep.
And me and a girl from Northern Running Group, Katie Mia, well, she got me to do it, and then we realised that you can do 40k back to back and it's not that bad.
It is amazing. You do these things and go, actually, I can.
We walked.
Yeah.
And we did have bad blisters and it hurt.
Yeah. But you did it. You proved it to yourself. Yeah, that's cool. You do a lot of fundraising, like the recent Summit to See Get Pink fundraiser for cancer research. Now, you are known for being an absolute crack up. Like, you put broccoli out for people for Halloween last year. And I think you're very famous for the Brussels sprouts in the piñata. I love that story. But when I was doing a little bit of stalking of you for this, I found some of your reasons for why people should donate and why you're supporting these charities. So for Alpine Search and Rescue, it was to help my possible future rescuers. That was great. And for Trailblazer by the Sea, people need to donate because I need dollars is what I need, which is cool. But anyway, I assume there's more to it than that. So you do a lot of fundraising. So what's
some of those are compulsory, like the Alpine one challenge you they suggest you should raise money. And so I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Because those guys do save everyone.
Yep.
And there is a form when you sign up for Alpine that says, I know how to use a compass. And I ticked yes, and I don't know how to use a compass, so I felt obliged to fundraise for that one because I might have needed them.
Yeah.
And I think Trailblazer might have been a compulsory one as well. They are the same people that do that Operation Flinders.
Okay, yeah.
I think, yeah. And
which is a fantastic charity.
Yeah, and so when you sign up, you agree that you would try and fundraise for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Get Pinked was just because I was like, why not?
Yeah, and you do a few things like that. We did the Run Against Violence last year.
Yeah. I like those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was, everyone took that so seriously.
Yeah. I know. This year we're coming back. I shouldn't say that on here though.
Oh, no, we're not.
We're not coming back.
No. We will be, and if we do, we'll hardly do anything. Like, don't worry about it.
Well, it's some of those things, like if they're a fundraiser, you'd pay to enter an event. Why not just enter those virtual ones and give your money to someone that can use it rather than...
Yeah. And I remember there was an offer of medals and we're like, no, just keep the money for your charity. Yeah, that just makes sense. You're also known as the Queen of Jump Shots. The Brownhill Butts in the Night being a particularly famous one. So what are your hot tips for the perfect jump shot?
Do you know Nikki Ryan has stolen the jump shot queen off me? But you have to have your camera on live and take heaps of shots.
Okay.
Just go heaps of times. Repeat until you get the perfect one.
Okay.
And as long as you look good, it doesn't matter what the rest of the photo look like.
Everyone else is sacrificial lambs. Yeah. One other interesting thing I found was a bit of Strava art from Boca Oval. Am I saying that right? From last October?
I think that got removed from Facebook.
Oh, did it? For being male body parts?
Yeah. So I said to Oscar, let's go to Boca Oval. We're going to do some Strava art. He asked what we were drawing. I let him know we were drawing a dick.
Yep.
He kind of liked it.
Yep.
We drew 2 dicks. We drew 2 dicks.
Oh, that was really funny. So you were a registered personal trainer for a while. What was that experience like?
poor.
What?
So I went from having a full-time, very okay paid job,
Yeah.
and I decided I wanted to be a personal trainer to help people get fit. It's not as fun as what it seemed. Some of it was. The training the fit people was awesome, but that whole thing that you're going to get these people that aren't fit and be able to train them to be fit and run doesn't sometimes work out.
Is that more of a psychological barrier?
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk themselves out of things. And
sometimes there's a reason why people aren't fit, because they haven't got that motivation to keep doing it, and it's very hard to be someone's motivation.
Yeah, you can't do that for them. They need to choose.
Yeah, and the money's not that good.
No.
So I went back pretty quickly.
Okay.
I still did run plans, and I still do go out and meet some people, and we train in the park over the road, but not as a personal trainer anymore.
No, yeah, cool. So I first met you as a Kathmandu Run Club coach, and you did some pretty cool things out there. So what were some of the ways that you pushed people out of their comfort zones?
If you just run and leave them behind, they keep up. But half the time they were running and leaving me behind, and I was pretending to be the tail walker.
Yeah.
I think sometimes if you just set them a challenge, like go, oh, let's run to the next tree, or if there's like a hill that they haven't run up before, sometimes it's cool to go, oh, let's see if we can make it a little bit further up that hill. And I do like that sort of stuff. Yeah. I
think we did a few ladders.
Up that really steep muddy one.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, that night. Yeah. And there's not much time. It's right, next rep. It was, definitely pushed us. Now, back in March, you said, back in the days when we had toilet paper and could leave the house, you were talking about that, I need to harness somehow motivation to run again because the Rona got me lazy. So how did coronavirus affect your running, and did you get into any virtual challenges?
I did get into a virtual challenge, but I find training hard because I like food and naps, as mentioned earlier. And so if I have an event, it's easier for me because I can't slacken off because I have to be okay to finish that event. And so with all the events getting cancelled, it was very easy to go, it's a bit cold outside, I'll just stay in bed, or cutting my long run short. So it affected heaps because I think all my runs were cancelled, and I had a big one in May I was meant to do. But yeah.
I think you've done heaps on the TRSA,
V4
challenge. Series.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing a long and a short together.
Vicky's
just backing it up.
Team, and she's quite she's quite determined that we should win. And so she's on our backs to go and get points. I hope she listens to this.
I do question your idea of lazy though, because in May you ran 100k to honour two of your friends' birthdays.
I whinged the whole time. Like literally everyone's like, oh wow, and I'm like, ask Brody and Nikki who were there. I whinged non-stop, and I tried to bail and they wouldn't let me. So I hated it.
And you owed her anyway. So.
I owed her heaps of years.
Because that had over 3,000 metres of elevation gain, so that was...
It was in Cleveland, and we tried to stay away from the hills, but it's quite hard. So we're sort of just running around the top. And every time you went down, you're like, no.
No, so it means more up. So shifting to your events, you've done some incredibly tough challenges. Now, when I first met you, as you and Kate, both coaches at Kathmandu Run Club, it was just really inspiring because you guys were just normal people. Like you look at you, you're not athletes, just really down to earth. And yet then I would hear about what you're actually doing. And was, oh my God. And I was really inspired by that, and it made me feel like I could do it too. And so it'd be great to hear some of your big stuff to inspire some other people. I don't think my bit of squeezing in some detective work today probably even scratch the surface of things you've done. The earliest I found was a Hills to Henley back in 2014.
Yeah, that would probably be right, except for a City to Bay.
Oscar, I think, was there as well.
I started on roads at City to Bay, and then went to half marathons and marathons. And then I worked out trails are way easier.
Easier in your body. So 2015 was Yarrabilla?
Yeah.
So is that your first ultra? Or?
I reckon, that year, Katie Mayer got me into it. We did the Jodie Lee Foundation trek, and why we were doing that, because it took us so long. She told me about the 12-hour challenge at the Uni Loop, and I think that was actually my first official ultra was
Okay.
around the 12-hour at the Uni Loop, and then Yarrabilla that same year.
Yeah, and how'd you go with them?
Well, it's a funny story about this.
Yeah.
So I thought Hoa was right behind me, and I didn't know who she was because I was new to the running scene, and I knew that so I was going round and round trying to beat her. And so my story is, wow, I beat her. And then I met her on a training run. I was like, we're the same pace. And then we started running, and I never saw her again. When I got to know her, she told me she wasn't trying, and she was saying to her friends and laughing, she's like, that girl's trying to beat me. I was. So that's the time I beat Hoa.
Yeah. And how'd you go physically with those ultras? Did you come out okay?
Yes, sore.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Like even when I used to do a half marathon, and I'm not a fast runner, I was so sore afterwards. It took ages not to get sore.
I was going to say, do you think all that's inspired some of your race-specific training?
I think so, because now if I just do that long time on legs, even if it's slow, I don't pull out off an event as sore as if I haven't spent the time on my legs. Yeah.
So 2016 Yarrabilla again, half an hour faster than the year before.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. And the Adelaide 12-hour, first female in the 12-hour with 104K.
Yeah, but the whole story there, so there was a girl who came, a complete athlete, who needed, I think, 100K time. So she did 100Ks in like 8 hours and then stopped.
Yeah.
I did 104 or 2Ks in 12 hours. And so I just beat her because she stopped 4 hours early. But I'll take it.
Yeah. I think a lot of your events, you do end up placing. And it's like...
It's a fluke.
I'll tell you a little story. Last year, my son was in the 3K for the Murray Bridge Marathon event. And he came first for under 10 boys. And then he found out that that's because he was the only under 10 boy. But then I pointed out to him, if you look at the list, there were 7 under 10 boys who didn't actually start.
Yes, so
they did not so. So he just being there and being tough, and he was recovering from flu, like just being there and being tough and resilient made him, a winner. And I think you have a bit of that. You go for these events that just even being on the start line is incredible, and it doesn't matter if you're 1 out of 1. Like
I don't feel like I won. Like I know that I have won by fluke.
Yeah.
And I'll take it because I'm like, woohoo, I won.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, I feel a little bit like I'm cheating. Yeah,
just being there. Because the 2017 was the first super big one I found, which is Buffalo Stampede.
Yeah.
Which
that broke me.
Yeah. So 3 events over 3 days. The total was 138 kilometres. But if you remember that 3,000 metres from 100K before, this was 8,500 metres, and just under 30 hours.
Yes. Yeah, so that was the total turning point event. I recommend that event to everyone.
Yeah.
It was so hard. Like you got to the hills and you were just like, I don't know if I can do this, but you did it. And I was pushing. On the first day, it was fine because the cutoff was ages. But on the second day, I made one cutoff and then the sweeper was on my tail. Ooh, and he was a lovely boy, but he was annoying. And so I did my best to run away from him. And I remember running until I passed another man. And then I was like, yes, now the tail walker hasn't got me.
All right, it's on him instead.
But I sat on the last hill. There's this hill in Buffalo Stampede. I think it's called Mixed Track.
Yeah.
It's got a 40% gradient. And it would have been in the last maybe 5K. And there were millipedes. And I'm scared of millipedes. I'm not anymore. Because I sat down in the middle of the millipedes crying. And rang Damien.
And they didn't kill you.
No, and it turns out they're not that vicious. And I rang Damien crying, going, I don't know if I can do this. And I actually finished that race that day. I think I had 3 minutes to spare, or 17. One of them, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
One I came in 3 minutes under cutoff. Once might have been the next day. I came in 17, and I had to take my shoe off because my foot was so sore. So I was running with one shoe on, one shoe off. Yeah, I would recommend that event to everyone.
Yeah, just find out what you're made of.
Mental toughness. You'll get to hills and you'll just go, nah, these aren't even bad after you've done that track.
Wow. That same year, you also did the UTA 100K.
I think it was my good year.
You good? So what was that like in comparison?
So I'm not a fan of the big like real promoted events.
Yeah.
I like backwater, weird ones where you kind of meet the race directors and they're just everyday people who have put together an event.
And you're not sardines in a can.
Yeah. So UTA, I struggled because I went into it a bit cocky, going, oh, yeah, I can do whatever. And it wasn't that easy. It was really hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, while the atmosphere is cool, like the trails are so well marked, I would never go back to UTA again.
Yeah.
Same as Tarawera. They're kind of like, you do them once, but little hillbilly events are better.
A little bit. And I think that was 2 months apart. How does your body go with doing something as epic as Buffalo Stampede and then UTA soon after?
That, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I pushed a bit hard. So I got an Achilles problem, but it was to do with my shoes. But yeah, so I did struggle in those events that year.
Yeah. Because you also did Surf Coast Century and Yarrabilla and the Alpine Challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I failed. I think that's the year I DNF'd Alpine though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that the first time I did Alpine?
I don't know. I think I didn't write your DNF down. So,
so there might be one that I actually finished. Oh, you want
I think that might be the finished one. So that's all in the same year.
Well, maybe that's the key then. Maybe you should do all these events injured and then you can finish Alpine.
Any stories from Surf Coast or Alpine?
Surf Coast, no, that's a good run though. That was a nice mixed run on the beach and everything. You did have to crawl under a bridge with water. Okay. And that probably taught me you should read about runs before you go, because it did say take extra socks, but I didn't know that. Yeah. And then realised at 50Ks that wet socks give you blisters. Alpine, lots of stories. That was a very hard run.
Yeah?
Yeah, very.
I didn't see the vert on that. Was that?
Maybe
it's got the word Alpine in it.
7.5?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty over there though, like the Alps in Victoria are my favourite place to run, because you just go, there's no one around, you're in the middle of nowhere. There was like snow, there's brumbies, there was, I don't know if Trent was hallucinating, but apparently, because you go through heaps of river crossings, there were naked cowboys. We'd have to get someone to verify that, because he remembers them more than me. Sorry, Trent. But yeah, we got to a river crossing. I think I would have just sat down in the water. But yeah, there was apparently 2 cowboys with no clothes on horses. Yeah.
Right. I believe
definitely worth running in the Alps.
Have you ever had hallucinations in events?
The last event I did, I had hallucinations. Oh. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So you mentioned Tarawera, so 2018. I think I haven't got really much written down. I know you've done some things for Tarawera and Yarrabilla in 2018.
Yes, I might not have done much more than that. Yeah, so Tarawera was in New Zealand, which is nice because I'm from New Zealand. Yeah. It was very pretty, but so muddy. And I kept going, is
that the year with the storms? I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Don't think there was a storm, or maybe there had been before we ran. Yeah. And I left my head torch at the 80k mark going, how long can it possibly take me to get there? Turns out way longer than I planned.
Because you're essentially going through sludge where you...
So I reckon there was at least 20k of mud.
Yeah.
And I ran out of light, but someone gave me a torch, so that was
so
good.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice of him.
2 bays in January last year. That was one where you're fighting cut off as
well.
I know you hated that one.
So as I ran through the finish line, they were literally deflating the arch, and I registered a DNF because I was 40 seconds over the 8 hours. But then Damien had a photo of me starting, and maybe I was 20 seconds over the 8 hours, and had a photo of me starting where I started 40 seconds after the start, so they adjusted it, and I was the official last finisher.
Okay. Now your nemesis, Yu Yang's, you conquered
finally
last year. First female, I think. Were you the only one that toughed it out to the end?
Yeah, only female.
But only female made it.
I want to watch.
You got to get through. You said it was so hard mentally because of the loops. Mm-hmm. But super happy to have finally conquered the damn thing. Yeah, I don't know. Loops, I agree.
See, it's weird because in some ways it's easy and it's a safe miler to attempt, because every 20Ks you've got your stuff. So like you can travel pretty light because you know how long that 20Ks is going to take you, and it's pretty flat. Yeah. So you can keep your torch, batteries, everything there.
Yeah. And not prepare all these drop bags.
Yeah, but every time you come around, you have to mentally go, keep going, because you want to it's so easy to pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you keep yourself going? What goes
Well,
on
the
in your
first
head?
2 times I didn't. So, do you know, it's the people, like, so the last race I did, where Hoa, I'm scared of Hoa, she will say, oh, you know, that was sort of like weak if you don't finish. And so in my head, I'm like, you either have to have a conversation with her about why you DNF'd or you just keep going. And it's less painful to just keep going.
Yeah. I mean, you know so many people in the running community now, and I know with that event, I had a little Facebook group and we were watching you on the tracker, and so you must know, like, everyone is waiting to see how you go, and that must be motivating.
Yeah, although sometimes it's heaps of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh my goodness, if I pull out, I have sort of like, because everyone sort of wishes you good luck and they're like, oh, you can do it. So if you pull out, you kind of feel a little bit bad.
Yeah.
But I think with those big ones, the more you do, the more you realise you just have lulls.
Yeah.
And as soon as you realise that, okay, I'm in a lull, but it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And I have learned from running overnight, like from midnight till 4 a.m, I'm knackered. But now I've learned that as soon as the sun comes up, it's like I'm brand new, fresh. And so now my rule is you're not allowed to pull out at night. You have to wait till the sun comes up. If it's still that bad, then you can pull out. Yeah.
So in August you went to Wonderland, which is like a big road trip.
Yeah.
And fun. Was that a 60k? I'm trying to remember what the distance.
I think it was, yeah.
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 So how was that?
It was so pretty at the beginning. There was a bit on road that was like, but I think they're going to fix that this year because the official track wasn't open. But it was pretty, very pretty hard. Yeah.
It's very steep in some parts.
The first bit I remember was rock climbing light, which suited me because I don't really actually like running. You should put me on a hiking podcast. But anyway, yeah, like there was climbing and it was real technical. So, but I like that.
Yeah. And then GSER was another massive one last year.
Very massive.
50 hours. I'm quoting you. Holy shitballs, that was hard.
It was so hard.
So this one had 11,000 metres of gain.
Yeah,
I know your Strava reading was a bit funny, but...
Yeah, I'm hoping it was 11,000 because that makes me feel better. My watch said it was 9.5.
Yeah. They advertised it as 11,000.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take that.
Yeah. Now you had ankle trouble with that one, didn't you?
I sprained my ankle.
Yes.
Yeah, coming down a hill.
So I guess asking again, like, what keeps you going? I mean, you mentioned friends, and that's kind of that good external motivation, but I don't actually know I could answer this question myself, but what's within you that keeps you going?
I don't know. Every time I do those big runs, I negotiate with myself and go, running sucks, you should join CrossFit. Like, I actually have these conversations in my head.
Yeah.
But those big ones, what I've learned is while I'm running, before I pull out, if I ever DNF, I go, this sucks. Why would I ever do this? I'm not coming back, and I DNF. Then I'm fine for a week, and then I'm like, oh, why did I pull out? You could have done that, Rebecca. You just gave up. And so in GSER, there were so many times I wanted to give up, but if I gave up, I know I would have had to come back and do the damn thing again. So I might as well just keep going and finish. And again, I didn't want to have a conversation with Hoa.
Yeah.
That one was hard in a little bit, and I normally turn my phone off or onto airplane mode because I don't want messages.
Yeah.
I struggled so much in that one, I turned it on and I actually went through my messages from people sending me stuff. Cool. And I got a little bit like teary, but that helped because it sort of gave me some warm fuzzies and pulled me out of the lull. Yeah.
My very first ultra that I suffered in, which was 5 Peaks last year, you were at the aid station and you were like, oh, what can I get you? You were so helpful and loving. You were one of the people that made me cry. I walked out of there going, I'm going to make it.
You're never there by the time you see me. It was all downhill.
Yeah, exactly. But they do help you. You said of you Yangs, now I can honestly say I will never go back. And you're saying now you've done GSER, you don't have to go back. And it does seem like you're always after fresh challenges. So what's the appeal of that?
I would go back to GSER though.
Oh yeah? Yeah, cool.
I like going on a course I've never seen before. Yeah. Like, you know, if you've done like 5 Peaks or Eurobilla, you know what's around the corner, you know what the next hill is. There's something about coming to a bit and you're like, what the heck have I done? And you come to some like amazing view or some amazing hill or some shitty hill and you've just never done it before. You get to see the world. Yeah.
I guess in this world of, you know, Strava segments and people want to beat their times, like a lot of people do the same things again and again, but I'm with you on
I
that.
get Strava segments, so I don't bother.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's that. So you organise some pretty epic adventures as part of your training. So when you have big events coming up, what is your approach to training for them?
It took ages to work this out, but I think I try and work on my weaknesses. And one of my weaknesses is night running.
Yeah.
So I sometimes organise epic events running overnight so that I get to practice it, because I just pretty much with all the training I go, what do I struggle with?
Yeah.
And then just try and do that over and over again so that it's not so hard.
So you just work out what your weaknesses are and then smash them.
Yeah.
Which means you only do a lot of unpleasant training.
Yes.
And I think that's why people get really impressed. So it's that, I guess, smashing yourself so that you can actually enjoy the event.
Although the one weakness I don't work on is my speed, because that's just, nah. Every time someone makes me run past, I'm like, yeah, okay, we're never running together again.
Oh, that's funny. I've got some examples here. So last year you did 3 days along Hyson. So that was, you did like at least kind of 50-ish Ks each day, camping, just a full experience of roughing it, and you had swags and, no showers and all of that stuff. And you do a few things where you are out in the terrain and it's really tough and it's all about endurance. Again, just what inspires you and what keeps you going with those adventures?
Do you know sometimes that's why I put them out to groups of people, because you can't bail if you've got company. Like even that 100k I talked about in May, where you're like, it's amazing. I'm like, I whinged the whole time. There's no way I would have done that, but I had 2 people with me, and they'd changed their plans to come. So
it's like your trainings target your physical weaknesses, but you're also targeting your mental weaknesses, and you know what they are.
Yeah, because I think heaps with the long trail runs, it's more mental than physical. Anyone could go and walk it, and a lot of people could make cut-off. It's that mental belief that you can just keep going. Yeah. But the Hyson, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
From the start, 3 days, I would love to just go and just keep doing that. It was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that is cool. Another one you did last year was the Brown Hill camping. See how many reps you can do. Now, people's reports varied because whether they came in and out. 3,600 metres of climbing over 36k, somebody said. I think that was Sorrel. But everyone had different readings of the K. It was just up the hill over and over and over and over and over again. How'd you go quad-wise and leg-wise after all that?
I think that one was okay, but I was using poles, which helps a little bit. And I was going very slow again. But I was just trying to get the elevation in.
Time on feet, elevation.
Yeah, because some of the big ones I like the Victorian Alps. So it's good to get those steep hills in, and there's not a lot around SA that mimic them.
No, there's not.
Yeah, it's real hard.
Yeah, I think you introduced me to Pengana in July last year. I actually went out there yesterday because I've committed now. Yeah, okay, I'll do Hyson 105 again, and it's like, okay, let's get these quads going. But it was a big group. And I turned up not understanding what these things are like. It was all snacks. It was like a picnic at the bottom.
See, that was Howard's fault. Yeah. And I think it was Janelle's birthday.
Yeah. But I just realised there's all these other people as crazy as we are. And wow.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. And you seem to be very good at banding people together. Like, what's your secret? Because people have such busy lives, and yet you have all these like days on end expeditions, and you get all that happening.
I don't know, again, I think they're just crazy too, and they just want someone else to organise it. So all I do is organise it and people show up.
You just do everything?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy doing all the organising? Is it just
I do.
Part of your personality?
Yeah. I would love to do that, like as a job, just organise stuff like that. Yeah. But I don't think there's much money in it. No. And apparently you need money to live. And run in the Victorian Alps. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah. Entry fees are a bit prohibitive sometimes. So these kind of things that you do for fun, what kind of responses do you get in your life from non-runners, or do you just avoid talking about it?
Well, it's hard because I do put it on Facebook, and I try to dumb it down a little bit because, again, it seems impressive, but it's not really. Like, once you've done that distance, it's not that I'm fast, it's not that I'm overly athletic, I just keep going. Yeah. And so sometimes I don't It's like at work, they go, how far did you run this weekend? And I just am like, oh yeah, long one. You don't tell them how far because then they make a big deal out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, so you find that weird too.
Yeah.
But the key really is that you are someone who keeps going. So you're saying that, you know, you had some events where you pulled up really sore and you want to not have that experience. You want to actually be conditioned, and you're saying you want to prove to yourself, like you don't want to be that a week later and have those doubts, and you want to prove to yourself you can. Like, are there other aspects of yourself that you think, and your friends was another one, but other aspects that keep you going? Like, what's inside?
It's hard. I almost think it's like an addiction. I don't know how to explain it, but like at first I did like, oh my goodness, I want to do Yarrabilla. Oh, I did 50k, and you think that's like amazing, and it is. I mean, running 5k was amazing, but then you go, oh, there's an 80k event. I might try that. Oh, there's a 100k event. I might try it. And every time you reach like this milestone and you don't die, you're like, I wonder if I could go a bit further. So I don't know whether I'm going to die or just keep trying to go further.
Would you ever consider a 200-mile event? Because now that we have one...
Well, I always signed up for it, but I refused to pay that much money. So yeah. But no, I would, without a doubt, do a multi-day or try it. Yeah. And then when they kicked me off course because I was too slow, I'd do something about it and come back the next year.
Hey. Is that what, do you do much of that consciously? Like after an event, do you do like a post-event analysis of what were the bits that really hampered me, what held me back, and make them your foci?
Only if I fail. Like if I pass, I actually swear the whole event I'm never doing another one. And I forget within like 2 days, and then I'm looking for another one. If I fail, then I look at, were you actually sore? Were you actually this, or did you just feel it at the time? Yeah. And most of the time I just felt it at the time.
So you had your ankle injury, and there was that Achilles a few years ago. How have you gone with injuries over these last, what was it, you said 2012, so 8 years?
I think I've been pretty lucky. Like I had ITB when I first started, but I sorted it. Yeah. Had to get orthotics at some stage, and now I think I wore them for a year, and now I don't do them. But I think considering how much I've run, I've lucked in. Yeah.
I know you do some strength work. Do you do anything else to keep yourself conditioned and protected?
Yeah, I nap. No. I do never miss leg day. Like I always do legs and that, because my first ITB was my glutes. Yep. And the physio was quite strict about what to do. I've just done that ever since, and fingers crossed. So far.
So you don't do anything specific with like yoga or nutrition or?
I go to yoga and I try it, but then I look in the mirror and I don't look like all the other people in the yoga class, but I feel like I do. Yeah. And so I like going to yoga, but it's hit and miss. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Nutrition. I struggle with nutrition big time, which is probably why I'm not as fast as I could be, because I'm a little bit too heavy. But I've been to nutritionists and they do help. Yeah. Like I went to Erin and she was great. Yeah. And I actually went to her in order to do Buffalo Stampede and then do GSER. Yep. It was good, but then as soon as it was over, I was like, oh yeah, back to eating cheesecake and burgers. Yeah. So it's hard, nutrition.
And we are going to get Erin on at some point. Had her lined up, but then coronavirus. Yeah. And then was trying to line her up again, but having a baby now. Yeah. So at some point, we'll get her on to get her wisdom. So what events, if you're happy to talk about them, do you have lined up now that things are actually beginning to open up again? And you are starting the last year of your 30s, I believe.
I am, I think. Yeah.
And your birthday's in July. Yeah.
Better hurry up.
So, what have you got planned for the end of your 30s?
So, what have I got this year? So, there's that last one standing.
Oh, you're going to do that?
Yeah, because it's...
Oh, that's going to be grit. That's going to be grit.
No, it seems like it should be in favour of someone who's not as fast, because... Yeah. It's almost like the playing field's equalled every hour. Yeah. However, I've done the maths and I'd have to do a 17-hour, I think, 100k with like 4,000 odd metres elevation, which is quite decent. Yeah. So I don't know, but I'm gonna. I want to have a crack at that.
Okay.
always good to try something.
Yeah.
But loops, I may not go so well.
Very short loops.
Yeah, very short loops.
Yeah.
And
you get to
scenery.
sit down for a bit if you're fast enough on your loop.
Well, I've decided I'm just going to be slow.
Okay.
I figure if I do it 58 minutes every time, I won't even have to stop. So,
Okay. No temptation of the chair and
no
the fire
temptation.
and yeah. Well, that's going to be incredible.
And then one that I've tried and failed miserably at, didn't even make it halfway, was that Down Under 135.
Oh, yeah.
Which is over, it starts at Bacchus Marsh out of Victoria.
Is that the one where only one female's ever finished?
Yeah, she's tough.
She's the one that does the tail runner leads and
Yeah, and she's like, looks muscly as it is
Yes.
fast. And there's another girl who has done really well, made it to like the 160k mark, and she's amazing as well. But I would like to have made that at least halfway.
Yeah.
And I was a sook last time I DNF'd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
yeah.
isn't there like some terrible part that's, I don't know how to describe it, like bracken, like it's all...
It was like you'd be on a sort of path, and then for some reason the arrow would point to not a path for no reason, so you just go bush bashing. But I kind of like that stuff.
Yeah.
It was very slow, there's only 35 entrants, which is where it's hard, like, because I was at the back from the first K, and by the back I mean I think I saw
It's
one
lonely.
guy. Yeah, and
It's like Tales from the Midpack. We like the Midpack. You see people.
Yeah, and so but now I've done it, I've done till 75k, so I've nearly seen, because it's an out and back.
Yeah.
So I've seen, I think 75k's worth. I think that would help for next time. Okay. And at that stage, I was still wearing road shoes on all my trail runs. So I've since learned that poles are actually kind of useful for some things, and you shouldn't wear road shoes on some trails.
Yes. Yeah. Your Buffalo Stampede, I remember I was going to ask you, like, what was that like compared to the slope you took me up in Cleveland? Because I was thinking 40% gradient. I don't know if they'll be able to pop this back in this, but this is just a personal question. Do you remember that one where you were walking and I was like a little spider almost crying, going, ah.
Do you know what? That would have been like mixed track. Yeah, because I remember on mixed track climbing up it was like, if you stop, you will slide backwards. And it was like, and the last day, because you do the first year I did it was 20k, 75, 42. Yeah. But they dropped it this year to 10, 75, 42. Yeah. But I remember on the 42k day, there were just people sitting on that track, like on logs. And I was like, you guys, we're all going to miss cutoff. Yeah. What are you doing? And so I was just like, don't stop. But
God. Yeah, it's scary. For people who are like me a couple of years ago, where I see people like you, and it's like, oh my God, that's so amazing. I could never do that. And then you start to get that little feeling like, well, maybe you can. Maybe you can. What is your advice about what to really focus on developing?
For long distance, don't get too hung up on speed. You know what? You can add speed in later, and you're less likely to get injured if you just take it easy, be consistent, go out and do an 8-hour hike. That is still training for a long run, and don't let people tell you have to go fast, because you know what? Once you've got the hang of it and you can do those long ones easy, if you want to get faster, then you can add speed in. Yeah.
Add speed. So add time on feet, endurance, muscle building, mental toughness. Work on all that first. And
learn what to eat, because you see lots of people on the long ones struggle with tummy problems. And so when you go out for an 8-hour hike, choose some shitty hills. Because that gets your training going. But you still don't have to run everything. And we don't have to run anything. And eat to see what works.
And drink.
And everyone can do anything they want. Like, it's not an elite person's sport. Like, anyone can do it. Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah. Yeah. I think that any obsession with time is a bit of a carryover from road running, where people want to know your times, but it's not what this sport's about.
And when you do a marathon, like, you're kind of expected to run non-stop. And so when you say you did an ultra, people think you have to run non-stop. But if you get to a hill, or even if you don't get to a hill, you can walk if you want to walk. As long as you meet cut-offs, it does not matter.
Yeah. Well, good. So I'm going to put links in the show notes to everything that we mentioned. So Run Club, Erin Colebatch, like I'll put a link to her business, and all the events that we've mentioned as well. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of your amazing adventures, amazing events, and some of your stories. And good luck. We hope to see you at the, I'll say last person standing.
Oh, yeah, it's actually
Have they changed it?
One standing.
Last one standing, because
Yeah,
I can remember it's not last man. That's that crazy guy in the US's event, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who came out with the first. Last one standing.
Of that, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Bec, and look forward to hearing about more of your adventures.
Thank you for having me.